Possibly the most famous wizarding school in the world, with past students such as Tom Riddle, Albus Dumbledore and Merlin. This is Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry Explained, Episode 1. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is a wizarding school located in the Highlands of Scotland. It was founded around 990 Anno Domini by the four most talented witches and wizards of the time: Godric Gryffindor, Salazar Slytherin, Rowena Ravenclaw and Helga Hufflepuff. There are four houses, each named after a founder, that the first year students are sorted into. The motto is Draco Dormiens Nunquam Titilandus, which is Latin for never tickle a sleeping dragon. In this video, I am going to be looking at each house, the house ghosts and Hogwarts founders. This is only the first episodes of Hogwarts Explained, and I will be covering other topics on the other episodes. Firstly, we're going to be looking at the Hogwarts houses, starting with Gryffindor House. Gryffindor House was founded by Godric Gryffindor. Gryffindor's house mascot is a lion, representing courage, daring, nerve and chivalry, which are Gryffindor's main traits. Gryffindor's colours are scarlet and gold. Gryffindors and Slytherins have a fierce rivalry and try not to associate with each other. Gryffindor's common room is in Gryffindor Tower. In order to access Gryffindor's common room, you must say the password to the fat lady. The common room is described as comfortable, and the Gryffindor students often party there. Secondly, we're going to look at Slytherin House. Slytherin House was founded by Salazar Slytherin. Slytherin's house mascot is a snake. Slytherin's main traits are cunningness, ambitiousness, and leadership. Slytherin's colours are green and silver. As previously mentioned, Slytherin and Gryffindors have a strong rivalry and try not to associate with each other. Slytherin's common room is located near the dungeons. In order to access Slytherin's common room, you must whisper the password to a certain wall. The common room is described as a long stone room with green lighting and elaborate carvings. Thirdly, we're going to look at Ravenclaw House. Ravenclaw House was founded by Rowena Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw's house mascot is an eagle. Ravenclaw's main traits are intelligence, creativity and individuality. Ravenclaw's colours are blue and bronze. Ravenclaw's common room is in Ravenclaw Tower, and in order to access Ravenclaw's common room, you must answer a riddle, and if you get it wrong, you must wait for someone else to arrive and get it right. The common room is described as a wide, airy room with mountain views, bookcases and a domed ceiling painted with stars. Lastly, we're going to look at Hufflepuff House. Hufflepuff House was founded by Helga Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff's house mascot is a badger. Hufflepuff is the most inclusive house and value patience, hard work, loyalty and fair play rather than a particular ability in its members. Hufflepuff's colours are yellow and black. Hufflepuff's common room is entered from the same corridor as the Hogwarts kitchens. In order to access it, you must tap the barrel 2 from the bottom in the rhythm of Helga Hufflepuff. If you get it wrong, one of the other lids burst off and drench you in vinegar. It is a round, earthy and low-ceilinged room and is said to be the cosiest common room of them all. Next, we're going to be looking at the Hogwarts house ghosts, starting with Gryffindor's ghost, Nearly Headless Nick. Sir Nicholas de Mimsy Porpington, or as he is known after his death, Nearly Headless Nick, was a wizard from somewhere in the British Isles. Not much is known about his childhood, but he was born sometime in the 15th century. When he was 11, he attended Hogwarts and was sorted into Gryffindor House. He was knighted sometime in his adulthood. He was executed when he attempted to straighten Lady Grieve's crooked tooth, but Nick was never skilled in transfiguration and his attempt backfired and she sprouted a tusk. He was sent into custody immediately and eventually it was decided that he would be executed. But the executioner's axe was blunt and it took 45 slashes to kill Nick, and even then his head wasn't fully chopped off, earning him the name Nearly Headless Nick. Nick decided to linger as a ghost rather than to go on. During his time in Hogwarts as the Gryffindor house ghost, Nick enjoyed talking to the new first-year students at the start of term feast, and on the 31st of October 1992 celebrated his 500-year death anniversary. Secondly, we're going to be looking at Slytherin's ghost, the Bloody Baron. The Bloody Baron was a wizard born somewhere in the British Isles sometime before 982. His real name is unknown, and he goes mainly by Baron or the Baron. Not much is known about the Baron's childhood, but he is described by Helena Ravenclaw as a very angry person. He attended Hogwarts when the founders were there and was sorted into Slytherin House. The Baron fell in love with Helena after Hogwarts. The Baron died when he was sent by Rowena Ravenclaw when she fell fatally ill to look for her daughter Helena and bring her back to her. The Baron eventually found Helena hiding in a forest. He tried to convince Helena to return to her mother, and when she declined, the Baron stabbed her in a fit of rage. Realizing what he just did, he stabbed himself with the same knife he used to stab her. During his time in Hogwarts as a ghost, the Baron wasn't very friendly and most people didn't seem to enjoy his presence, not even the other ghosts. The Baron was also one of the only two people who Peeves the Poltergeist would listen to, along with Albus Dumbledore. Thirdly, we're going to be looking at Ravenclaw's ghost, the Grey Lady. Helena Ravenclaw, or as she's known after her death, the Grey Lady, was a witch born somewhere in the British Isles sometime before 982. She's the daughter to the famous witch and co-founder of Hogwarts, Rowena Ravenclaw. When she was 11, she attended Hogwarts and was one of the first generations of students there and was sorted into Ravenclaw House. She was taught in the magical arts by her mother while she was there. Also during her time, she met the Bloody Baron, who was a Slytherin. He fell in love with her, though she didn't love him in return. Eventually, Helena became envious of her mother's intelligence and fame and stole her treasured diadem and ran away, leaving Scotland forever. She thought that the diadem could help her become wise. Helena died, as previously mentioned, when the Bloody Baron stabbed her in a fit of rage, later killing himself. During her time at Hogwarts as the Ravenclaw house ghost, Helena was known as the Grey Lady, and while most people thought that she never speaks, she spoke often to Ravenclaws and is very useful when you're lost or you've mislaid something. Lastly, we're going to be looking at Hufflepuff's ghost, the Fat Friar. The Fat Friar was a jolly wizard born somewhere in the British Isles no earlier than 982. His real name is unknown, and when he was 11, he attended Hogwarts and was sorted into Hufflepuff House and was taught by Helga Hufflepuff in the magical arts. He was a very religious man and devoted his life to religion. He was executed because Muggle senior churchmen were suspicious of his ability to cure peasants with the pox by poking them with a stick. During his time at Hogwarts as the Hufflepuff house ghost, he kept his happy and kind manner. He welcomed the new students warmly and helped students in any way he could. Lastly, we're going to be looking at the Hogwarts founders, starting with Godric Gryffindor. Godric Gryffindor was a famous wizard born sometime before 993 in, which is now known as Godric's Hollow, in England. Nothing is really known about his childhood. He is described as the best duelist of his time, and he was also very skilled in wielding a sword, which he did when he fought Muggles in order to make it a fair fight. Later in his life, he founded Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with his friends Salazar Slytherin, Helga Hufflepuff and Rowena Ravenclaw in 993. Gryffindor is said to have praised braveness, chivalry and nerve, and he selected students for his house based on the qualities previously mentioned, according to the Sorting Hat. When Godric and the rest of the founders were discussing how they would sort students into their houses once they died, Godric took off his hat and, along with the other founders, enchanted the hat to sort the students once they died. He also was in favour of allowing Muggle-borns into the school, something Salazar Slytherin strongly disagreed with, which led to an argument between Slytherin and the rest of the founders, which ended in Slytherin leaving the school forever. Secondly, we're going to be looking at Salazar Slytherin. Salazar Slytherin was a famous wizard born sometime before 993. He was related to the Gaunt family and could speak Parseltongue. Salazar was very clever, and it was said that he created his own wand made with snake wood and the core of a basilisk horn. He founded Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with his friends Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, and Rowena Ravenclaw in 993. Salazar and Gryffindor were said to be great friends. Salazar probably was the most careful in picking members of his house and, according to Albus Dumbledore, prized ambition, cunning, and resourcefulness in his hand-picked students. Salazar was a strong believer in blood purity and didn't want Muggle-borns to be allowed in the school. Salazar and the rest of the founders got into a very heated argument about this, which ended in him leaving the school forever. Little known to the other founders, Salazar built a secret underground chamber with a monster purging the school for all Muggle-borns and killing them. Most people thought that it was only a legend, but it is true, and the monster is a basilisk. Some time before he left, Salazar put the basilisk into a deep sleep which prevented it from aging. Thirdly, we're going to be looking at Rowena Ravenclaw. Rowena Ravenclaw is a famous witch born in the glens of Scotland sometime before 993. She was extremely intelligent. In 993, she founded Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with her friends Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, and Salazar Slytherin. It is a popular historical theory that she chose both the location and name of Hogwarts. She dreamt that a warty hog was leading her to a cliff by the lake. She chose the students sorted into her house based on their wisdom and intelligence. At some point in her life, Rowena gave birth to her daughter and named her Helena. Helena later stole Rowena's diadem and ran away. Rowena later found out and was so ashamed of her daughter's betrayal, she kept it a secret from everyone, even her fellow founders. Suddenly, Rowena fell fatally ill and asked the Bloody Baron to look for Helena, wanting to see her one last time. As we now know, Rowena did not get to see Helena one last time, and legend had it that a broken heart added to her death. Lastly, we're going to be looking at Helga Hufflepuff. Helga Hufflepuff is a famous witch born in the broad valleys of Wales sometime before 993. In 993, she founded Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with her friends Godric Gryffindor, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin. Although she was good friends with all of her co-founders, her very best friend was Rowena Ravenclaw. While all the other founders wanted a particular ability in their house members, Helga took everyone and treated them equally. She was great with food charms, and her recipes are still used in the Hogwarts kitchens. She also organised for the house elves to work in the Hogwarts kitchens, somewhere safe where they wouldn't be abused. Helga owned a golden cup, which is said to have magical powers that has been passed down from generation to generation. This item eventually was passed down to Hepzibah Smith, who later showed it to Tom Riddle, who killed Hepzibah in order to turn it into a Horcrux and framed her house elf Hokey. Thanks for watching. I worked extremely long and hard on this video, so if you enjoyed it, a like would be appreciated. Subscribe if you're new, and comment below which Hogwarts house you are in. As I said at the start of the video, this is only the first episode on Hogwarts Explained, so if there's anything I missed out on, it's probably going to be in one of the other episodes. I'm mainly focused on the houses in this video, and I hope you have an amazing day.